an unapproved nose, but as it turned out, the nose that he was supplied had the same part number as the approved nose. And since they were new to Dodge, they didn't know any differently. So that story will continue.
He may be starting in a bind, but I guarantee you he's starting with a lot of fire in that belly.
102 laps complete in the Auto Club 500. Powered by Q, and here comes Casey Kane against Jeff Gordon, who yesterday was the strongest car here.
Now, see, that's a car that I think, Larry, that we haven't really mentioned a whole lot. But you got to remember, so this cat won here not too long ago. He knows this racetrack pretty well. And I got to tell you, I've been impressed with the turnaround at Abraham's deal. I think they've got that. I think they got their act together.
How about engine number 9, Steve?
Well, Mike Casey says his car's starting to get just a little bit too loose coming off the corners. Otherwise, he likes it.
And honestly, talking to Ray Evernham and talking to Kenny Francis, the team director for this team, I don't know that it's because of this new car. I think, and Ray told me this, the generation of tire that Goodyear raced most of the year last year, Casey Kane just did not like the feel of it. He couldn't feel the left side of the race car. This new generation of tire, they've softened, put more grip in the left side tires. They've made it more forgiving, and I think he likes the feel, and I definitely think they're going to get back to the form they were in.
8th place battle here. That's Jeff Burton trying to hold off Quapple and Kurt Busch.
Quapple's hanging in there, boys, on those two tires right now.
Mainly under throttle.
Meanwhile, Greg Biffle has been dropping back. He's fallen to 7th place. Dick, what's up with the Biff?
Well, the Biff restarted 4th, Mike, and as good as that race car was last night, it's not so good today. He has complained that he simply has no right rear grip. Biffle going backwards.
And that's the difference in last night. Last night he was hooping and hollering, and it's the best car he's had since he won here. And here, what a difference a day makes. Last night it was cloudy, overcast, cool. They got a little sun on the track. Makes a huge difference in the setup.
Fastest lap of this race so far belongs to Carl Edwards by a nanosecond or 6 over Jeff Gordon. Here is Carl racing in 6th place. He is the highest Ford in the race right now.
Nothing at all in your mirror, just you and that one. Just stay focused here. Everything's good.
I think that's a big thing to tell every driver right now. You know, get your focus back. Tell us what the car's doing. The track's going to be different. It's a new day. You got to have some more feedback here to stay focused.
But Darrell, I think that's great information with him. And you can see he's definitely very busy in that 99 car. That way, if he knows he's not being challenged by anyone out the back, it's such a line-sensitive racetrack. You can work on hitting your marks and hitting your line.
Well, when you don't have to worry about competition, when you're just concentrating on your car, then that's what you focus on. You got people all around you. You don't have time to think about what's wrong with your car. Kristen, what's going on?
Larry DW, you guys hit the nail on the head. Carl Edwards is dissecting the lines, the grooves where the other cars are running. His spotter, Jason Haleski, is telling him exactly where to be in each corner, with where, like the 48, the 18, wherever they're going, that's where he's going. Carl Edwards very focused on the lines and hitting his marks.
Just right now, that high line that we just saw him run through 3 and 4, you just keep the car wound up there, and you could see him complete the pass on Truex in the 1.
The high line is a sunny day line. That's when it gets hot, when it gets slick, that's where you head, right to the top.
Robbie Gordon just passed Tony Stewart, and that's for 12th place.
I tell you, I've been watching Robbie. He's got a good race car right now.
He's come from 23rd since they dropped the green flag this morning.
All the Sprint Cup teams tested out here in January. When he did the test, it was a Ford with Roush Yates engines in it. He made the swap right before Daytona. This is a Dodge now with Gillette Evernham engines in it, and I just think the whole package of his affiliation is paying off.
Well, he had a great run at Daytona. If he could just get that penalty thing resolved with NASCAR, where they got to do what they got to do, and it doesn't hurt Robbie too badly, then I think he's on the way to a good start of a great year here. Single car team, he doesn't need big penalties.
Well, he and Kyle Petty are the 2 remaining owner drivers in NASCAR.
He's basically the single car owner driver.
Yeah, and the thing about it is the car rally got canceled. Had a huge investment in that, and he goes to Daytona, makes his switch, goes to Daytona, gets some momentum going, and then gets smacked with that big penalty.
I'm not sure when the appeal will be heard, but There's a lot of folks pulling for Robbie Gordon. On the other hand, the NASCAR rulebook is pretty concrete. They didn't have many options in handing down the Gordon penalty, so we'll see how it shakes out. We'll let you know.
The Auto Club 500 on Fox, powered by Q Motor Oil, is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
113 laps complete. Casey Kane, Kyle Busch are going to battle here for second place. They are running 1.8 seconds behind race leader Jimmy Johnson. And here's Tony Stewart going back after Robbie Gordon. They traded 12th place about 4 laps ago, and now Stewart's going to take it back. Let's pick up on that second place battle. Here's Matt.
And Mike, about 6 laps ago, Kyle Busch went from closing in on Jimmy Johnson to a slight bounce off the wall, a Darlington stripe, if you will. And now he says you need to do a little tug on that right front fender because I bounced off the wall. Now the car has gone to the tight side. It's getting worse and worse, Steve.
Matt, Casey Kane still saying his car is just a little bit loose. They're going to stop. It stays green. They'll stop shortly. He says they're going to put a round, Kenny Francis, a round of wedge in, add a little air to that right rear tire.
And definitely this is the longest run in this race we've run since we dropped the green flag yesterday afternoon. And we are definitely getting within about a 10 to 12 lap window. They can go about 40 to 44 laps on fuel of making green flag pit stops. But I think one reason we're seeing some different handling in the car, most of the race yesterday afternoon, last night, the track temperature was in the 50s. It's already over 80 degrees, and the track just loses grip when it comes up.
It's dirty, too. I see these guys run the high line, and every now and then somebody will get way, way up there, and you'll see the dust fly.
Jimmy Johnson with a breakaway lead of 2.4 seconds. And varied fortunes on the Childress cars. Jeff Burton is up to 7th from 11th. However, Clint Boyer restarted 8th, and he has fallen to 19th, Matt.
One of the fastest cars last night here in California. Now, Boyer says his car is almost like driving at Lakeside Speedway, his home dirt track. He said just way too loose, especially on exit. Keep in mind, he was one of those teams that took 2 tires on that last pit stop last night.
The other Childress car, Kevin Harvick, runs in 15th.
I've been watching this cat right here, and he's been picking up and laying them down. Just a couple laps ago, he went by Martin Truex Jr., but he'll probably find me wrong here, but watch the line he runs here. He goes in, and he gets all the way up against the wall. Now, he's about a lane off this lap, but I've watched him the last 2 or 3 laps. He's pretty much been rim riding all the way around the racetrack as we ride Jeff Burton in a 31 car.
I think you look at most guys, Larry, they've all moved to the top for the most part. They're really fast cars, and they're going to be right up against that safer barrier here, everybody, for long.
Burton's last lap was 7th quickest of all drivers. 6th quickest on that last lap was the number 1 of Martin Truex. Steve.
Mike, as you guys have mentioned, this is the longest green flag run of the race. Martin Truex Jr., who was good early, says, now I'm starting to get really loose off. I feel like I'm burning the right rear tire off.
Eight laps to halfway. Make that 7 as Jimmy Johnson leads Casey Kane now by 2.4 seconds. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Green flag pit stops for Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and more. Matt.
Service already complete on the Daytona 500 winners. Dodge chassis adjustments across the back. He said his car was loose everywhere, just could not get into gas. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch is in. His car, like we mentioned, way on the tight side. Brad Donahue makes a nice little tug on that right front fender, Steve.
Matt, Jimmy Johnson says his car has gotten snappy loose off turn 2 and a little snug in the center. They made a chassis adjustment to the left rear.
Martin Truex was in. Clint Boyer in the pit lane along with John Andretti, and Casey Kane gives up the lead to make his stop.
Mike, I mentioned this yesterday, and one of the things that guys are doing with this race car is they're jacking the right, putting a great big heavy spring in the right rear. Well, we got a collision on pit road.
Yeah, David Reagan in the 6 just about got together with Joe Nemechek in the 78 car. They were side by side. You cannot go side by side down pit road per the NASCAR rules, Steve.
And Larry, Casey Kane in. He wants an air pressure adjustment. They're going to take a quarter pound in the right rear and add some wedge, Matt.
Jeff Burton said his car was tight in the middle, initial throttle. He just had to wait on it. Scott Miller will try to fix that car with air pressure.
And problems for Kurt Busch.
He could be out of gas because we've run 40 laps. And remember, they had to warm these things up this morning, too. I believe he's out of gas.
I do, too.
Coming around turn 4, he will make it to pit road, so we should be able to stay green.
You had to guess, Jesse. Am I below pit road speed?
Yeah, you're okay.
See, that without the motor running, he can't see the tachometer, and that's how he judges his pit road speed.
I think he's okay. He looks like he's on actually a little bit slower than the speed, so that's good.
So he'll lose a lap as Carl Edwards, the new leader, now comes to pit road, and Krista.
Carl Edwards stayed out to get his 5 points. Then he had to stay out another lap because the 2 had run out of gas on the backstretch. He comes in. They need to make just a small left rear adjustment. They're going for a small amount of bite. Carl says his car is just free everywhere, but he's really concerned with it being free off the corner.
And Kurt Busch was able to get his engine refired without incident and without further delay.
Now, Kurt Busch's teammate, the 12th car of Ryan Newman, pitted 3 laps before this. You know, you just wonder if Roy McCauley was trying to play a little bit safe, or was the 12 right there on the fuel window? Obviously, the 2 car was outside the fuel window.
If you're going to run out, it actually didn't. It hurt him, but it didn't hurt him as badly as it could have. He was able to coast to his pit, get some gas, and get going. So he may be a lap down, but he should probably be in a position to get the free pass.
Scott Riggs may have led that last lap as he comes in, and let's go to Blaney's pit and Dick.
Well, Dave Blaney's crew has really struggled with this race car, Mike, since they have gotten here. And this morning they threw just about everything they could think of into the car on the very first round of pit stops. Blaney needs a good finish today. He failed to finish the Daytona 500. He is one of those guys that always seems to have his eye on keeping the car in the top 35 in owner points, so he is assured of a starting position.
Right now, Dick, Blaney slots 33rd in owner points at this moment, so good observation. We are past halfway in the Auto Club 500, powered by Q Motor Oil on Fox. Jimmy Johnson, once again, the leader. Dale Jarrett currently running 30th, 1 lap off the pace, as Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's Chevrolet leads the field now by nearly 5 seconds. Back to Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, and Carl Edwards.
Good pit work, and that stretched the lead out a little bit, and then Kyle had a little bit longer pit stop, probably working on that right front fender. Looks to me like Jeff Gordon's car really runs good on new tires, but it fades a little bit near the end of a long run. So Jimmy's sitting out there on cruise right now.
And there's the second place car. So
Let's update you on Kurt Busch, the 2 car. He did indeed go a lap down. Right now he's back in the 26th position, and he's about 3.5 seconds behind leader Jimmy Johnson. But Darrell and I were just discussing during the break the problem he's faced with right now. Right now his fight and battle is try to be the first car a lap down should the caution come out. And right now with this long green run, the leader keeps lapping other cars, so he's got to try to get up there and get with Jimmy Johnson to be that first car, because right now Bill Elliott is in front of him with Elliott Sadler in the 19 on the verge of going a lap down.
And he's about to pass Elliott, but again, Sadler could be the first car in line for the free pass. How about Kurt Busch?